I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Where are our prophets now? Where are those messengers God chooses to communicate divine revelation through? In the past, the Creator has sent prophets like Abraham, Siddhartha, Jesus, Muhammad, and many more. Maybe our higher power has switched tactics since we reinterpret God's words as soon as the Creator's prophets leave us. Could it be that Spirit talks to each one of us individually and we haven't learned to listen? On Words of the Prophets, our modern prophets show us how to find the internal prophet that is the I Am, and we discuss the application of spiritual principles in all aspects of our lives. Love and light, everybody. I'm Reverend Phil, and I'm your host for Words of the Prophets. Today we have a guest who is a returning friend it's been a year since you've been here. Do you know that?
Yes.
Well, not here in Santa Fe, but on the air. It's almost a year to the date. So my guest is, those of you who have just been tuning in recently, is Shubraji, and she is a disciple of His Holiness Swami Chinmayananda. Did I do that good?
Perfect.
She was worried I wasn't going to do that good. And she is the founder and head of NAMAH, which is N-A-M-A-H, which means to prostrate or surrender to the divine, the Vedanta Center for Spiritual Unfoldment in Woodstock, New York, that place made famous by the music festival that was held elsewhere. And she's also a teacher of meditation and scriptural texts. Today's prophetic topic is the latent power sleeping in us. This phrase comes from a statement made by Swami Vivekananda. See, I almost did that one. A disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. The statement contained in our topic reads as follows: Mother is the first manifestation of power and is considered a higher idea than Father. With the name of Mother comes the idea of Sakti, which is divine energy, and omnipotence, just as the baby believes in its mother to be all-powerful and able to do anything. The Divine Mother is the latent power sleeping in us. Without worshiping her, we can never know ourselves. All-merciful, all-powerful, omnipresent are attributes of the Divine Mother. She is the sum total of the energy in the universe. Every manifestation of power in the universe is Mother. She is life, she is intelligence, she is love. She is in the universe yet separate from it. She is a person and can be seen and known as Sri Ramakrishna saw and knew her. Established in the idea of Mother, we can do anything. She quickly answers prayer. So we're going to get on to this. What we're going to do today is look at the more traditional, what Hinduism is and what Vedanta is, how they relate. Look a little bit at the deity structure. We're also going to look at chanting and how that fits in. And Shubraji is going to do some chants for us during the show. But before we even get to any of that stuff, for the people who are new to the show, they haven't seen you in a year and have forgotten, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm here to do the work that my teacher set out to do and accomplished beautifully. And I'm just carrying on in his inspiration to serve the people and to help raise the consciousness of this planet. That's in a nutshell.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, let's talk about the relationship between you and your teacher. How did it start? Is it ongoing? I know he's since passed over, but are you still in contact with him?
The Guru, as my teacher said, the word Guru represents the teacher, the spiritual teacher. And my teacher said, and I quote him, "The Guru is not a person. The Guru is an institution." So the idea is that the Guru is the messenger through whom the divine word comes out. And that Guru, that teacher, has purified his or her instrument, the body, the mind, the heart, the intellect, and then they are connected to the divine and they are working for the good of others. So I met my teacher at a young age of 14, and I had no idea, I wasn't seeking, but it was a chance meeting orchestrated by my eldest sister, And I met him in South India with the idea that I have to meet a holy man. And I told her, I was an atheist at that time, so I told her, okay, I will meet him, I will do namaste, but don't ask me to bow down and touch his feet, because that's the tradition in India. And that's how I really met my teacher to begin with.
When you met him, did you know right away, like, okay, I'm going to study with this person?
No, I did not even want to study. I was on vacation. And as I had lost my father at a young age of 8 and I was 14, I had the idea that God has taken my father away, so there is no God. And so I was very resistant, and she said, come and meet him, just see him. So I went into this hotel room where he was staying as a guest of the local organizers, and he wasn't there. I was waiting. And I clearly remember somebody told me, would you like to come into his bedroom and see? And in India, we are in awe of the holy man, the reverend, the monk. We're not allowed to go and visit his personal quarters or her personal quarters, so I was delighted. And when I went in, the first thing that I saw on his bedside table was a magazine, a Time magazine. And I said, wow, I was a teenager in pants. This guy is cool. And that was my idea. And then I came back out into the living room, and as he entered, a tall, majestic figure, beaming, radiating, and light, and laughing, and it shattered the mental image I had of a holy person which is austere, growing up in a Hindu family. So there was something that I connected with, and I didn't know I would be studying with him, but I liked him. I folded my hands and I offered my prostrations, met him, and then something called within me to go and attend his lecture the following evening. I didn't go that evening. And I went there and sat in a crowd of 10,000. And he spoke in English, and I had been educated in a convent in English. So it appealed to me. I could understand. I only understood 50% of what he was talking on the Bhagavad Gita. But what he said started to make some sense. And his charisma and the depth of his words, and he was speaking what seemed from his heart, touched me. And that was the start of this delicate, tender, loving relationship between a teacher and a student on the spiritual path.
So what were you studying? Were you studying Hinduism? Were you studying Vedanta? Was it a combination?
Well, Vedanta is the root philosophy. And Hinduism, as we know it today, consists of different kinds of practices. And in Vedanta, we have the concept of the non-dual. Because the basic concept from this philosophy is that God is one. God is one, but then there are other segments who believe that I am a part of God. And then there is another segment, Dvaita, dualism, which believes I am separate. And all these live harmoniously together. But the root philosophy is of non-dualism. And Hinduism, as it is being practiced today, is the practice is the tools, the worship of the deities, and reading the philosophy and combining it all, and eventually going into meditation and realizing your oneness with the entire creation and with the Creator and beyond. So Vedanta is the root philosophy. There is no such real thing as Hinduism. We call it Sanatana Dharma, eternal law. It is universal. But now that we are practicing it, it has become divided. And yet, it is all held together with the words of the most ancient scriptures, the Vedas. And people respect and honor the tradition that different Hindus have.
So the Vedas predate the concept of Hinduism.
Absolutely.
And can you talk a little bit about them?
The Vedas are mystical revelations, and they came to these masters. They are scripture as revealed sitting on the Himalayan mountains, and these masters heard these words in the ancient language of Sanskrit. They were handed down orally from teacher to taught. And they were compiled roughly in the year 1500 BC. And these Vedas are divided into, there are 4 books, Riga, Yajur, Sama, Atharva, but they're divided into 4 sections, each book. And the first 3 portions are more the ritualistic portion and lyrical chants adoring nature, because God is formless, no one has seen. So they started taking nature and they deified the sun, the phenomenal forces, the wind god, the river god, and they adore. And the end portion of the Veda is called Vedanta, the culmination of all teaching, and that is particularly the mystical revelations of the Upanishads and teachings on who am I.
So if the Vedas were put to print, so to speak, at 1500, but they go back much older than that.
Hindus believe the Vedas are eternal. Historians put it at 4000, 5000 or 1900 BC. So really speaking, no one can fix a date for this.
There's just a kind of cumulative adding of knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they predate Buddhism, and some Upanishads and teachings are post-Buddhism, but they're the oldest known scripture in the Indian philosophy.
So, how do I clarify? Vedanta then becomes what?
Vedanta is the teaching about the self. It is a universal teaching. And in order to understand this concept that there is one God, that there is one absolute reality from which and in which everything is, from which everything manifests, just as I've said it before on your program, from gold, all gold ornaments come. And we may appear to be diverse in names and forms, but in essence, essentially we are all one. The same life pulsates through all of us. The difference is in our form, in our mind, in our thoughts and feelings. So Vedanta is the philosophy dealing with that. Hinduism, as it is practiced now, is the practice, the tools, the forms and methods of worship to bring you closer to yourself within. And a lot of the Hindus have been stuck on just the worship aspect without going deep, even though they know it at the back of their mind, without really going deep and connecting and understanding the depth philosophy of Vedanta. So Vedanta is the root philosophy. The practices today are the tools. However, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, every Hindu, in every home you will find the Bhagavad Gita, which is a practical handbook of instruction, which contains the essence of Vedanta, of the Upanishads.
That should make it pretty clear to everybody. Let's go back on this relationship with your Swami. Let me ask another question. Does he trace his lineage back? Where does he trace his back to?
Yes, the lineage, the whole system of monkhood was formalized by Adi Shankaracharya, which is around 780 to 820 AD. And after that, there are 4 main, although there are 10 different branches, there are 4 main types of monks. So North India, South India, East and West. So by the end name of any monk, you can know which lineage they trace back to. So but they all trace back to Adi Shankara, who revitalized Hinduism, and they wear orange robes, and they are, instead of reverend, we use the word Swami. There are also women who are called Swaminis, and they also are in orange robes. They have given up the world, become monks, recluse. So the lineage is that. However, I did not take the robes from my teacher. I simply took the teaching.
How come?
In India, there is no forced system. You follow your heart. And if I had a calling to do this work and be in the world and be with the people and show them that being in the world, living a normal life without retiring away to the Himalayan peaks, you can still be spiritual and achieve greatness and happiness. My teacher did not force me. I had the option. So it's not something which is forced. And I was in close contact with him for 20 years till his passing on. And during that time, I learnt by attending his public lectures. I learnt by listening to him in small gatherings. But most of all, I learnt by his example. I learnt because he put me under rigorous training. It was not in the formal sense because I was not with him every single day. I was going to school and only met him during my vacation. And I would travel with him. He was traveling 365 days a year to different places, 10 days in each place, in India, overseas. So whenever I got the opportunity, I traveled with him. And during those travels, I did my self-study. I attended his talks, I reflected, meditated, but most of all, he gave me the opportunity to serve him, to do his personal work, his office work, because he was running institutions, his personal work. And during that, the course of that work, he taught me how to do work with love, how to be perfect in every little thing and pay attention to details. So he was a very hard taskmaster.
Did he ever perform any miracles in front of you? Or what we would call miracles?
When we would talk about miracles, he would get angry at us. But in all honesty, I can now speak about it. When he was in the body, I couldn't say it because he did not want us to focus on that. He wanted us to lift our attention to God, towards the higher, and not get stuck. Because miracles are powers, and people get stuck with those miracles, but those miracles are only valuable if they help you lift your faith in God.
Exactly.
So I did see a few. And I can say that there were miracles, but when I tried to tell him about it, he brushed them aside.
Humility.
Yes.
Beautiful. So let's go back into, in Hinduism is very deity oriented. So we have a main deity, and then we have subdivisions or manifestations of that deity, and then we have gender equals. Am I explaining that well?
Well, the concept of deity is like this. Somewhere around 1500 BC, a great sage, Sri Ved Vyas, who compiled the Vedas and who also wrote the Mahabharata, the epic, he felt that people were becoming stressed. People were not able to retain the essential teaching of Vedanta.
And that was then. What do you think he'd say about us now?
Yeah, well, we can imagine. So he decided to start this concept of deification. And that was the deities with form evolved much later. The whole concept is this. It's called symbolism. We are not worshipping 100 or 1,000 gods. There are thousands of gods. What we are worshipping is that one divine principle called God, called the absolute reality, pure consciousness, which is formless, eternal, changeless, omniscient, omnipotent. However, the mind cannot grasp formless easily. The mind can only grasp something with form. If I say dog, cat, flower, but if I say alabalabadulababam, no image comes to your mind. So he said, these deities are going to help man. So the idol, we don't worship the idol. We worship the ideal it represents. Which brings me, if you allow me to talk about...
Go for it.
Why are there so many deities? Why not just one idol or two? The yin and the yang, the male and the female, the masculine and the feminine. The idea is that human beings have diverse temperaments, prakriti, nature. And all of us cannot just be satisfied with one form, one book, one idea. So Hinduism, there's no one founder, there's no one textbook. So many scriptures are there. And the idea was that you gravitate towards that aspect of the divine which you resonate with. So all the deities, Rama, Krishna, Shiva, and then we had the feminine deities which came in a later period. We needed the nurturing aspect. We needed, because it was very male oriented in the beginning. So that's how it kind of evolved into what it is today. And the deities are simply energy. Energies or aspects of that divine. And I'll give one quick example. I'm a woman. I have a friend in me. I am the daughter. I can be the mother. I am a sister. I am a business person. All these are different facets of me. When I'm invoking the beloved in me, I'm not invoking the sister in me. When man is invoking the father in him, he's not invoking the son. So we invoke that aspect. And the idea is what we invoke, we become. We want that quality of the deity to be reflected in us, in our life. That's the concept.
So that could always change. What we're looking to reflect at different times could be different.
True. Good point. But the masters said that if you keep changing, and that's the whole concept of being in a committed relationship, if you keep flitting and changing every day, you're not going to be able to achieve something. So yes, you may connect with one main aspect of this energy. It will be what you resonate with. Stick with that form. The form is just the vehicle, but you adore it because that sacred form got you to the source. However, you can worship other aspects, and we do that. But what the idea is to make our mind single-pointed, to make it one, and to be focused in that concentration, and to finally have the unity with God.
So the focus would not only be in times of stress, we use that word, it would be the focus of the meditation. That we're going to focus in on one aspect, this is the aspect we want, and just keep that focus in that meditation.
This aspect is going to help us. But what is the eternal principle of Godhead? The eternal principle is, the idea is that God or the divine is the symbol of perfection, of wholeness, of infinite joy, infinite love. And this Godhead, why am I worshipping it? Why should I worship? Even if there is a God or a creator. The idea is that I am infinite. I am seeking that infinite joy, infinite love within myself. So in the beginning, I don't know who I am. I've just taken myself to be this body, this limited mind. I have this self-identity, but it's a relative identity. But the scripture is saying, the Vedantic knowledge is saying, hey, you are something greater than what you think you are. Right now, you appear to be limited because you are identifying with this limitation of, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a teacher, I'm a business person. If I were to remove all these identities, who are you?
So we come up with what becomes our highest identity.
Yes.
And we shed the lesser ones as we go along in the practice.
Yes, you be in that role, but you understand who the real you is. The real you is eternal, free, the one to whom nothing happens, and that joy, no thought of yours can block it unless you allow it to. So the idea is to bereft ourselves of negativity, of this burden, this stress that we are carrying. The concept is pretty simple. And then as we start identifying more and more with the greater thing, and that's why we are told, live a life of good value. And God represents those values of love, mercy, kindness, compassion. So when I start living those values, what happens? Our mind and heart becomes relatively quiet. Now what happens? This consciousness is already within me, which is formless, but I'm worshipping some form, maybe. Not everybody worships a form. I'm worshipping the form to bring me back to that which is formless. So when I start living a life of values, my mind and heart becomes quiet. So what happens that this consciousness, which is already within me, the light of that starts shining. You get out of your own way. Thy will be done.
Yes.
And life becomes effortless. That's the whole idea. You are divine. Your potential is divine. In your essence, you are infinite.
So in this whole process, how does chanting fit in?
Chanting, again, is sound.
Okay.
Sound is vibration. Vibration has a frequency. We know when I say nice things to you, you feel good. When you say nice things to me, I feel good. If I were to insult you, so words have power. They are carriers of immense power. And the whole creation is from sound. Almost every scripture says in the beginning was the word. The sound we use is Om. In Christianity, Amen. Different. In Islam, they have a different sound to call out to the divine. So sound is the first expression, supposed to be the first manifestation of this divine power. And these words, these chants, are thousands of years old. And they came as a revelation in that language. They were passed on from generation to generation. Now, as we speak today, they have been in the atmosphere. They have been chanted for thousands of years, so they are very powerful. And they are simply energy.
And they're designed to raise the level of our spirit, which is simply energy.
Yes. In fact, the physicists are saying that all of matter is nothing but energy. Matter and energy are interchangeable. So energy vibrating in this form becomes this. Energy vibrating in the form of a flower becomes that shape. At different levels, one energy is manifesting. And so then sound has a direct impact on the energy, on our cellular body. And it clears all the channels of energy which are blocked. By my thinking and feeling, I have blocked. We know now, neuroscience has told us, as we think, we process this information and it goes back because we are linked to every organ, disease. So from a scientific point of view, chanting is wonderful. From a spiritual point of view, it raises your energy.
And when you talk about raising energy, are we talking about raising it up through the chakra system that we need to?
It doesn't matter. Whether
Okay.
we understand the concept of chakras, which is the 7 energy centers in the body, this is something anyone can feel themselves. When I chant from any tradition, if you hear chanting in any tradition, there is a vibration it sets up. And if I can resonate, if I'm sensitive to that vibration, I can merge into it and take the help of those words and chants to go into another state where all my worries, all my fears, all my problems dissipate.
So chanting works on an individual level and it works more powerfully in a group.
Both. Both are pretty effective. The micro and the macro.
Okay.
Even silent chanting can be done. But in the beginning, we emphasize that it should be done out loud. There is a great power to the meter in the chanting. And this meter also evolved. It was something which got revealed. And that meter, the way you do a Vedic chant, and the prana, the air, see, it's all now, yoga is demonstrating that. Your posture, your breath, your attention, everything
becomes one.
Becomes one, and it transforms the very body chemistry. It affects your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, your condition. You feel lighter, and then you can work better, you have more productivity, you have more energy, just at the basic level. And more important, when the mind and heart is quiet, you don't have to make any effort because the consciousness is already within. It just starts flowing steadily.
Can you do a chant for us?
Sure. Why don't I do a chant from the Divine Mother to Sri Durga which is a good chant for health and to remove illness.
Okay. What should the people watching the show be doing?
They can just sit comfortably where they are. They can either repeat after me. I can do it slowly. And it's very simple. The pronunciation is important, because if you alter the pronunciation and the meter, then the vibration is different and it changes.
Okay.
So if they can, it's pretty simple. We always use the word Om in the beginning of every chant. So I'll do a simple chant. Om Doom Durgaye Namaha. 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 Om Doom Durgaye Namaha.
Thank you. That was wonderful. I'm not sure where the camera is. There's a CD case that's on the table. We're flashing on the screen the website address for Shubraji. That can be ordered through your website, right?
Sure.
Yes. There's lots of great material there. Just visit the site. Just visit the site, and we'll keep flashing the address, the web address, periodically throughout the rest of the show. I was just sitting here, and I closed my eyes, and I just felt energy, particularly here. Now I'm sitting, and I was kind of leaning forward, but I was like feeling it in my chest area. And I mean, am I feeling it because that's where I need healing, or is that because of the way I was sitting, or just?
There is a natural way. And what is important is when we chant, it is our intention that backs the chant. Sometimes we don't have any intention, and then the chant, those words, there are seed syllables in it. They are like laser, and they go and affect wherever you need it. It could affect an organ, it could affect a feeling, a place. So it's pretty natural where you need it. Sometimes there are specific chants associated with specific places and centers in the body. It's a whole science.
It's fascinating. And there are specific chants you had mentioned for different deities.
Again, when we say deities, if you're not non-Hindu, you get afraid. But don't look at it as a form. Look at it as different energies, different aspects of energies. And it is universal, so anyone, whatever religion you practice, you can still include these chants because they are universal, and they can benefit you in different things, right from the physical to the emotional to your spiritual evolution.
So for instance, on the CD, you'll tell people specifically what these chants are for.
Yes.
And they can listen and have a book that guides them for the pronunciation.
There's a booklet with the transliteration and the meaning, so they can read that, and each chant is repeated a few times, or they can just play the chant in their house. And playing a chant, any music, we also know Western classical, Indian classical, changes the whole vibration of the space. So they can just merely play that chant, go out, do their work, come back, and the home has a beautiful, peaceful energy. It can be played in the car, anywhere.
Well, that talks to the nature of the basic vibration of the universe, and when we raise it in a specific place, it will stay raised for a while, and if we keep doing the practice, that area, that space just raises up. That's the concept of having the altar and the little room to pray in.
Yes, because the basic thing is energy is everywhere. But sunlight is everywhere. cell phone technology and cell phone technology is everywhere. But if we want to harness it, we have to be able to tap into it. My wireless connection is everywhere in the room. So God is omnipotent, already here. But then if God is there, why can't I feel that God? Hey, because you didn't sign up. Sign up and download all that. That's the whole concept of chanting, of prayer, of meditation. In the simplest way, thank God to computer technology and language.
Yeah, beautifully said. So let's start talking about this. The main deity or the all everything is Brahman.
Brahman is not considered a deity. Brahman, the word, Brahman, simply means vast, all-pervading,
okay.
The one energy. Then from this energy, the way the scriptures describe it, and they describe it in different ways, is that this energy, when it has the will to manifest, it manifests as the creator in order to create this creation. And this creation is also not something separate. It's like gold, and from that gold, a ring, a chain, an earring. So this energy has not become something else. It is just playing. This is all a superimposition. Now, so Brahman is there. So when creation happens, man will ask, who created? From where did it come? So then we have the concept of Trinity. Then we have the creator called Brahmajis, and that's why people get confused. Brahma, Brahma. Brahmaji is a designation, an energy who's in charge of creation. And typically, that is a deity, and Brahmaji has the consort, because to create, what do you need? You need knowledge. I can't create without the knowledge of, I want to make a building, but I know nothing. So then there is the feminine counterpart, the goddess of knowledge, Saraswati. She is the goddess of art, culture, knowledge. So that is the creation.
Okay. So besides having the concepts, you know, and you talked about the yin and the yang before, so we need both the male and the female, the feminine and the masculine to create, and each one has its own representation of the creation.
So to complete the Trinity, let me just say, Brahma and Saraswati, the goddess, the creator, and the consort knowledge. When you create something, you have to maintain it. You know that. Once you have a house, the plumbing goes out, the electricity goes out, you need a maintainer. So the concept of the energy of maintenance is Lord Vishnu. Now to maintain something, what do you need? Money. You can't maintain it without. So we have the goddess of abundance and wealth, Lakshmi ji. And she is the consort of Lord Vishnu. So the energy of sustenance. When you maintain something, after a while you need to change it. You redo the whole living room. So that is creative destruction, and that is Shiva. And Shiva needs the force, the powerful feminine force of the divine mother, who is in the form of Durga, or she has many different names, Parvati. So this is the Trinity: creation, maintenance, creative destruction. And all this is not some separate deity. These are just the energies. And the concept is that man needs all these three from morning till night. We are constantly creating, then we are maintaining our thoughts, and then we are destroying the thought and starting the new one.
So we could take it down, like you say, to the micro, and then we can put it into the macro, that this is a cycle of life, of civilization, of, you know, I'm here as Phil, that's the creation. I sustain Phil for however long I sustain Phil, that's the preservation. And then when it comes time to pass, that's the destruction.
And that's what we say, eternally the body goes, but the spirit doesn't go.
So the destruction, Durga, is not really destroying life, but destroying the obstacles that keep us from advancing in life.
Yes, again, this is such a complex topic. To simplify it, one is this yin and yang, because the whole concept is energy is one. It manifests in duality, and both these aspects are there. And in each and every one, there is the masculine and the feminine. We need both in creation. So we say even our right side is the masculine side, left side is the feminine. Coming to the Divine Mother, the energy of creativity, it's not that these are different deities, but this is the one principle of divinity which expresses both in these different forms, in these different aspects of energy. And in the Divine Feminine, we again have another three, these three goddesses, and they represent Durga as removing negativity. So Durga is on a tiger with a sword, fierce. She's also gentle, fierce. So first, if I want to reach my goal, which in this case, let's call it the spiritual goal of liberation of joy, how can I reach it if there's negativity? So we invoke, we pray to her, the energy of Durga, please come and remove my negativity. We have a festival in India for 9 nights. So the first 3 nights we pray to Durga. After that, when the negativity is gone, what will be there? Abundance. Then we invoke the Divine Mother Lakshmi. Bless us with virtues inside and outside, inner wealth and outer wealth. And then once you have abundance, you have comfort, only then can you think of the higher. Then we invoke Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, art, literature, music. And the 10th day is, there's a story associated with it, that the demon is killed by the goddess. The 10th day is the day of victory, that once we have invoked all these aspects, first in the deity outside, but what we are trying to do is invoke this within us.
There's a CD I had the pleasure of having to listen to it. You haven't quite ready for production yet, and it's about the Divine Feminine. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of things you said on there. One of them, beautiful, that the Divine Feminine represents the portal and the goal.
Yes.
And so it's through this that we have to pass, and it's because of this we get to where we need to go.
See, what does the Divine Feminine, the Divine Mother, reflect? What we need in this world. The world, the whole creation comes from creativity. So the Divine Feminine, the Divine Mother, represents the single most important thing, unconditional love. Today we are suffering in this world because of this. We have no
dirt. Lack of it.
Yeah, lack of this. Everyone wants to be loved because this is the inherent thing within us. And what else can exemplify that but the Divine Feminine from any tradition? We need this energy of nurturing, of love, of gentleness, of beauty, of adornment. We have to bring all this celebration, joy, laughter, giving. And because we have too much of aggression, we have too much of the head stuff. We need the masculine too, but we need the integration of these two.
You talked about that beautifully also on the CD. You talked about the mother as the creation within, mm-hmm. and the father as the creation without.
Yes.
So that's where the balance, that's where the yin and yang come from. And it's when we overlap, or not overlap, but take the out and try to put it in, or the in and put it out, is when we get all confused and get out of
See,
kilter.
What is it that a child knows with birth? That child only knows first the mother. And the entire creation, even in the Hindu tradition, even the goddess of food is there, Annapurna. The goddess of fertility, Prithvi, Mother Earth. Everywhere we say Mother Earth. So that every piece of food that I'm eating is the grace, is the blessing from this Divine Mother. And when we start to feel that way, our heart opens. And it is this opening of the heart that we need right now. We have needed it even before, but now we need it more than ever. We need to bring qualities of nurturing. We need to bring the quality of love, sisterhood, brotherhood, and feeling that we are all connected. In that giving, we grow.
It's interesting. You know, I get the opportunity to look at East and West and see them as really two separate and distinct philosophies and approaches. So, you know, reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, constantly mother, you know,
Yes.
and minimal, if any, reference to father. And then you look at the Gospels in the New Testament, and it's the complete opposite. It's, you know, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do, you know, or to get to the Father, you got to go through me kind of deal. So my question to you becomes, is the overall lesson now, the creation and preservation, meant to not have the distinguishes, the two of them, the two separate philosophies, but to bring them together?
Of course. If you see, the goddesses in every tradition, Sophia, the goddess of wisdom, Isis, it has been there. The Gospels also, we are told, have been written by women, but they are lost. The idea is, this is a time, and right now I feel, and a lot of things have been written about this, that the power of the divine feminine is coming up to the forefront. We need, as women, we need to take, it's not a question of women's lib, but we need to recognize the power within us, to claim that, for what? To balance the energies. Because we need both these energies. We need the divine masculine, we need the divine feminine. Without that integration, we need the qualities of courage and of moving forward fearlessly. We need the qualities of love, of compassion. And we have a concept of Ardhanarishwar, the Lord Shiva as half man and half woman. And within each one of us, in India, men worship the divine feminine in a big way. They understand at some level that this mother is the source of all creation. Creativity is feminine. We should not see it as separate. I feel that both the philosophies have something to offer to each other. We have to learn and we have to work together, and we have to break these barriers that have been created, because spiritually we are all one. It doesn't matter what we are connecting with in terms of form or idea, but the fact is we are all human beings. We all have the same life, and all of us have the feminine and the masculine. So if we can learn to honor both, if we can learn to integrate it within ourselves, so each man needs to have a feminine quality. Each woman needs to have the feminine quality as well as a masculine. So what do I need?
Well, we each have it.
Yes.
It's the right and the left brain, so to speak, or the brain and the heart, depending on the symbology. It's not a matter of not having it. It's a matter of nurturing it and honoring whichever one needs to be brought up into equal status with the other. There has to be a balance. And we don't, I think we're out of balance.
And so we have to pay attention to this. That's all. So sometimes I ask the people in the audience when I'm giving a talk, what quality do you feel in your life you need to bring out right now? In the context of the divine feminine, you can focus on a feminine quality, but in a general context, you can take any quality which is a good value, which I need in my life right now. And if we can reflect a bit on that, that is what will make us feel complete, because we're already complete, but we don't know.
We need to just bring it into balance, exactly. So then the concept of Durga as the destroyer of the obstacle, is that why, in the pictures I've seen, she has 8 arms and the other deities have 4 arms? She's got a bigger job?
No, these are all symbolic. Durga also is represented with 4 arms, sometimes more. They multitask, all these Hindu gods and goddesses. The idea of the 4 is, it represents 4 distinct instruments that we have inwardly, the mind or the emotion, the intellect, and the conditioned consciousness, as well as the sense of ego. So they show these 4 limbs all the time, and generally you'll find the one hand has a sword. So God is saying, hey, I'm going to cut down your negativity. And one hand has a conch. First, God or the goddess is blowing the conch. Listen, turn within, answer a higher call. And then if you don't listen, then there is a mace, discus. And then finally, there is a lotus flower or some beautiful flower to bless the devotee.
And represent the final transformation.
Yes, and often you'll find the Hindu gods and goddesses on a lotus. And the lotus symbolizes purity, that you are, in your essential nature, pure.
And doesn't it also represent the ability to transcend our beginnings? That the lotus grows in the dirty, darkest part of the swamp, yet it's beautiful.
You said it. And we are in this world, there's a lot of muck here, but hey, we are still beautiful. And we are beautiful while we are in it also.
Yes. Gonna be running out of time, so I just want to make a couple announcements, and then we're going to close with Shubhaji doing a chant. She's going to read the English and read the Sanskrit. And again, this book is available, the CD is available on her website, which has been flashing on the screen. But let me make a couple of quick announcements before we get to that. First off, you are watching us on public access. Therefore, you are the public, and we are here to serve you. So, I'd like to hear from you. Questions about shows we've done, questions about this show, for instance, or maybe there's something you'd like me to cover. You know, my email, my phone are being flashed on the screen. They'll be flashed at the end. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what kind of shows you'd like to see done, what topics you would like to have covered. Also, I am a counselor. I do spiritual counseling. I'm also a state licensed counselor, and I kind of blend the two of them. I believe I'm a spiritual counselor more than I am a therapeutic counselor. I help people tap into the spirit as a way of changing their life and healing. I don't charge for my services. It's on a donation basis. So if there's a problem with life that you think maybe spirit would help you get past, and I don't think there's any problem with life that spirit cannot help you deal with, contact me. I'd be happy to meet with you, work with you. And like I say, it's donation basis. If you don't have anything to donate, that's just as fine. It's not your job to take care of me. God takes care of me. Next week is the week of prior to Thanksgiving. We're doing a Thanksgiving special next week. So what that means is there's a lot of people in this town, this county, Santa Fe, where this cable station reaches, who are in need of help. And there are agencies out there who go pretty invisible most of the year, who are taking care of our society at the very basest levels: food, shelter for the homeless, food for the hungry, things like that. So we're going to have 10 of those agencies on, somebody from the agency representing them, telling you who they are, what they are, how to reach them, what services they provide. And we're going to give thanks for them, because without them, this society would be in fairly sad shape. So I think I've talked myself out. You want to talk about this a little bit before you start it, what you're going to...
I'm going to chant a mantra, a chant for general well-being, and one can read it once a day, and that is good because it centers you and it focuses, and when you chant it, it's already blessing you. It's brought the attention to that part of your body or that faculty.
Okay, we got, before we even start, because we still got a minute left, I don't want to just be good. Can you define mantra for people? Because I think it's a word they hear a lot of, and they're not sure what that means.
It's a word symbol that connects you to the divine.
So it could be like we talked in the beginning, just sitting there and chanting Om
Yes.
over and over again, or something more specific for a specific.
For a specific purpose.
So, wouldn't I be better served just raising myself up to the highest and just sitting there chanting Om as opposed to doing a chant that you're going to do, for instance? Wouldn't that get me there faster? Because speed is everything.
Om is very powerful, but in order to really connect with that, it takes a lot of practice. Different chants are for our different stages of evolution. And we don't need to figure this all out. The chant will resonate, the chant will speak to us, and we just take that chant and start working with it. And when we are ready, it's not about speed, it's about doing it well. When we are ready, we will either drop the chant. It's not something you have to do forever, but it's a tool, a vehicle to get you to that which you already are.
So I thank you all for tuning in. Love and light to you all, and we're going to fade out or end with Shubhaji chanting.
I'll chant the Sanskrit first and then say the
Okay.
English. Om Ayurdehi, give me long life. Om Pranam Dehi, give vital air. Om Apanam Dehi, give release. Om Vyanam Dehi, give me good circulation. Om Chakshur Dehi, give clear sight. Om Shrotram Dehi, give good hearing. Om Mano Dehi, give me a sound mind. Om Vacham Dehi, give me good speech. Om Atmanam Dehi, connect me to my inner soul. Om Pratishtham Dehi, give me a strong foundation. Om Mamad Dehi, give of me. Om Mai Dehi, give in me. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
I'm Reverend Phil, and I've been your host for Words of the Prophets. Thank you for tuning in. Please join me again next week, same time, same channel, for more Words of the Prophets.